Welcome to the Powerlifting and Power Ballads podcast, where we bring you a weekly dose of powerlifting news, tips, and training advice with a touch of 80s rock ballads. This podcast is presented by Team Roar Powerlifting, your source of the most comprehensive coaching and meet day preparation. Here are your hosts, Josh Rohr and Laura Sturm.
Welcome to episode 185. We are at Raw Nationals this week, so we are not able to record a new episode, so we are going to throw it back to a previously unreleased episode that we recorded live at Equip Nationals with the International Committee Chair, Wade Johnson. Enjoy. What's up, Wade?
Joshua, how are you?
I'm all right.
We're right here by the fire.
We are. The ambiance.
Just got this whole thing. So we're nice and we're cozy. We're warm.
We are cozy.
You're not freezing anymore.
I am still pretty cold, but I'm all right. I live.
You're a little guy.
Yeah. So we're at Equip Bench/Equip Nationals.
Youth Nationals, right?
Youth Nationals too. Yeah. Thoughts so far? This is what is today? Saturday.
It is Saturday, day 2.
All right.
So I saw Rowan. I can't remember. Forgive me. He's the young kid from Great Britain. I spoke to his father briefly yesterday. This is going to be his last powerlifting meet. He's done a few meets here in the States, and I think they're going a different direction with his sports and things of that nature. But he had a really, really good meet. I think one of the cool things, obviously, was watching Lee bench 182.5 and doing it relatively easy. Joy Black from our gym went 3 for 3 and got her pro card equipped, which was a big goal for her. And so, already out of the gate, we've seen excitement for both teams.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, it was good. We got kind of an off day today, which is rare.
It almost, I can't think of a time that it's ever happened where we didn't have somebody, Saturday's usually a really, really, usually Saturday and Sunday for both of us, regardless of what the circumstances are usually really big days for us. So to be able to have a day to kind of catch your breath, because I think you would agree that this year, amongst all others, especially coming out of the pandemic, this has been an extremely, extremely busy year.
Yeah. And, for myself, though, too, normally if I'm not working on a day or a session, I put my name into referee. And I did, and they had enough referees.
Right,
so I'm
right.
like, what do I do now?
Johnny Graham is here. He is not judging at all, which is, again, that's not a common occurrence. So right. I think it's one of those things where it's a bit of a smaller, national level meet, and I think it's still busy, it's still exciting, but I think it's one of those where we're all able to kind of catch our breath a little bit, which has been a pleasant change.
Yeah, I'm kind of enjoying it.
As am I.
I mean, we're sitting around the fire.
Well, we always talk about doing it,
right.
And then the meet is so busy and the days are so long. Like when we were at the Georgia State meet, we were going to do all those things. We had it set up to do and then the days
they just
became so long, and
yeah,
and we were,
and at the end, it's nice just to hang out with everybody for a minute or two, and then by the time you do that, it's like, well,
it's time. We got to go.
We got to go. Yeah. Do we sound even to you?
I think so.
I think maybe. I think so.
Oh, I'm a big, powerful man, Josh.
Yeah, I know. That's why I got you turned down and me turned up.
You may want to give yourself a little more there then.
Just a little more. Oh man. All right. Anyway, I actually have nothing to talk about.
Well, I think one of the things that I wanted to touch on, when we were going, what are we going to talk about, and we have no idea. You're talking about breaking in. You had covered this on another podcast. One of the things that we've done about breaking in equipment, for equipped lifters, we're starting to see in our area a little bit of resurgence of people using equipment. And obviously one of the challenges, even for an experienced lifter, like we were speaking with Laura, is breaking it in. So one of the things that we've done with shirts, mainly, obviously the biggest issue is usually the tightness of the sleeves and the tightness of the leg openings in a suit. And what we learned is nowadays, I'm a tool junkie, especially cordless tools. It's absolutely ridiculous. It is ridiculous. But Ryobi makes different types of inflators, and I've got a couple of them that it has the tire gauge connection, and you can blow up balls, you can blow up toys, you can blow up a tire, and it has the digital readout on it, and it's fairly inexpensive. So what we started doing to just give those openings a little bit of a stretch, where, the shocking part of a new shirt or a new suit is those openings when it really cuts into the skin. We would get junior size footballs, we would deflate them, we'd push them, the biggest part of the ball, into the opening, and we'd inflate it until it got tight.
Yeah.
And what we would do daily is we would add a couple more pounds of air and do that for a week, and we have found that just gives enough, believe it or not, where, because usually once they're in the shirt or the suit a couple of times, it really eases up.
Yeah.
And the lifter is not then completely distracted by the shirt's cutting me,
right,
or whatever the case may be. So that's a little tip out there for things that we've done, something that's so small, because usually you have something around the house that you can inflate a ball with, or a tire or something, and
yeah,
we carry around, we have people that'll use the football to warm. I think Lee does it.
Yeah.
Carries a ball to warm up with the arch. So these are things you typically, even a typical power lifter has at home, and we have used that to great success.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. We've done the same. Not too much recently, but anytime we get a new suit that's just a little bit too tight out of the box,
A little aggressive.
Yeah, it works. Or we find somebody like this is one thing that we've done too, is having a big team helps. Is like, hey, you're a weight class below this lifter. Why don't you wear this shirt for a couple workouts,
times,
break
yep,
it in,
yep.
and you got to get somebody that's game for that. But
we've done the opposite, where you got somebody that's about 10 pounds heavier. It's like, just put this on,
yeah,
and do a couple. I've done that for the guys in the past where, I was a little bit bigger, but let me put the shirt on and just, even if I don't touch, let's just,
yeah,
do some board presses. And usually that was just enough to get it to where it wasn't such a big ordeal when it came time for them to put it on.
Yeah, for sure. What's going on the international committee?
Well, there's a lot.
That you can talk about.
Well, there's not really things that I can't talk about at this point. The talks are going right now. As a matter of fact, on my way here, I was talking to Jay Ferrant, who is one of the guys in the leadership group in Ireland, and that's where we're going to host Open World Cup next year. And so we're starting to discuss what does that schedule need to look like, which is going to take some conversations. I'm going to have some conversations.
Yeah, because the
EC
world or the pro finals will also be there too.
Right,
yeah.
Right. So there's a lot of things that there's going to be some things that we'll have to discuss. What's going to be the logistics of that, and how is it going to affect it?
Yeah.
Masters World Cup will be in England the prior month in November. Bench World Cup will come back stateside this year. It's going to be in England. Hasn't been completely decided. I am working with meet directors, hopefully having it in the Southeast region for next year. The Student World Cup will remain in that time frame, obviously, because the students' schedule predicates that and dictates that. Countries. Guam is signed on. They will likely do their meet late in the year. And
I just saw recently, I think Mexico's got their first meet on the books.
Yes. And just so people understand, and I've had these conversations, as a matter of fact, this weekend, as recently as this weekend, Mexico, I met with Diego, who's the main person in their leadership group. The first time I met with Diego was Christmas Eve of 2022. And this is how long it's taken, to mobilize. There's all sorts of things that create this length of time to get to the point. Once they get to the point of running meets, then it seems to, like with England, Giles was the first guy that I called when we started this, and it still took almost 2 years to get a meet.
Right.
And so it's different because people aren't necessarily starting from scratch. There's a history because of the IPF and other entities as well, but mainly the IPF. And how do they walk away from that? One of the challenges that we've had with some countries is with your sporting authorities and governing bodies. You have state-sponsored stipends for lifters. Well, that's not something they're so readily going to walk away from until the situation gets to the point where they can't tolerate it anymore. And we all stay at jobs we don't like because we got to make our got to pay the rent. So it's the same principle for them. So it takes time for them to cultivate all that, and there's a lot of times hoops that they have to jump through that we don't see every day. So they're going to have their first meet in September, and so that's a big, especially here in North America, because ultimately we want to have a North American Championships. I know you guys are going to love that idea. So I'm telling you now, it's coming.
Okay.
But, we want to do some things like a Pan American situation. And I think that's the direction we have to head with some of these other countries as well, where we're talking about a Pan Asian type championship as more countries come on board. And so, like that was probably a way loaded question. When you were asking what's going on with the international thing, as you can see, there's a lot.
Yeah.
The Philippines are coming online. I probably won't expect to see a meet from them probably till early next year. France will be coming online. That'll be early next year. And I think that's a really big boon for us. And there's some good guys over there, that I've lifted with, in years past.
When?
And,
how long ago?
It's been a long time ago. So, but I will tell you, I lifted with one of them. The last Worlds I lifted in was 2000, right before the pandemic, 19.
Who was president?
I have no idea. This is Barack Obama.
Oh, that's not too long ago.
Well, it's long enough ago.
Yeah.
But we were old still.
How many? I'm trying to do the math here. I guess it has been.
It's five
yeah,
years
it's not
ago.
that many years. It's not too long ago.
Everything with the pandemic seems to have extended time because now we all talk. It's pre-pandemic and post-pandemic.
Yeah.
Like the year 2020 kind of just doesn't count anymore.
Yeah.
It's kind of the wall.
It's like the floor 13 in a hotel.
It's still there,
but not.
Nobody counts it.
Yeah,
It's
it doesn't
scary.
count.
It's scary stuff.
Yeah.
So there's more coming on. We're talking with other countries, and we're going to start seeing a trend, I think, with meet directors that have ties to other countries, that you're going to see us run meets in those areas. And what we hope will happen there is that it cultivates a leadership group. And let me clarify that. This brings me to something else, because a lot of times these guys feel like they're having to start, when I say these guys, these different countries that are coming on board, like we want them to start a new national federation. And the answer to that is no, that's really not it at all.
Right.
We're looking for point people that can provide events and do basically what state chairs do here in the United States.
Yeah.
And that's really, what we need. And so, with language, cultural barriers, and things like it takes a long time. Here's what my job is initially, is I create a relationship, and that takes a little bit of time.
Yeah.
I need to win them over. They need to trust me, and justifiably so. And then we put them in a position where they can be successful. And that seems very oversimplified, but that's really what is required to make this work. And it just takes time. But you think about it, we've still, we're just we're approaching year 3 of doing this, and to be where we are is still pretty remarkable.
Yeah, I agree.
So, you got a lot more material out of that question than I think perhaps you
Hey,
thought.
that's good. I got nothing to say.
We're burning some time now.
Letting Wade roll.
Yeah, well, yeah, I love hearing myself talk.
Yeah, I love hearing you talk too. If I'm being honest, it's comforting.
Well, it can be.
It can be. Yeah, you're right.
Depends on who you are, what the circumstances
Right. I
are.
was just going to say, it depends on what the.
It's interesting that you bring that up. Joe House will come by just periodically. He'll just come and hang out.
Yeah.
Matt Swanson was in town. And you know what? That's a really cool story. For those people that don't know who Matt Swanson is, he's a masters lifter from Wisconsin. And he and a partner of his started this Drinking Buds company. And how all that started, the short version is, they're ag guys. Like, they go to college to be ag guys, those kind of agriculture guys. They had like an acre of land, and I'm sure I'm getting this wrong, but I'm going to try to simplify it. They went through all the legal hoops and everything, and they planted hemp on this acre. Now, it could be more, it could be less. And it did really well. And they're like, well, what in the hell do we do with all this now? And they found that it was too difficult going to like local head shops and stuff like that, dispensaries and stuff like that. And they decided, and I'm condensing, they both like drinking and made this powder. And Chris and I, Elmore, when we were doing the Masters podcast, had him on. We sampled it. It's really good. And it was interesting because during that podcast, I asked him, when do you think you'll see a ready-to-drink product? And he wasn't sure. Well, now you fast forward to now, and he's traveling all over the United States. He's left his job, which was a great gig, and now they're seeing success with their drinks and everything. So
what is this?
Okay. I'm bringing it home.
Okay.
So it is the Drinking Buds, and it is a CBD drink that has a little hint, whatever the law will allow, of THC in it. And there's different flavors. There's an old fashioned. There's a margarita. There is a. I'm not really sure. I have sampled them. They do work.
So what is it that they like? What is it that they do?
What do you mean?
Well,
like with CBD, a lot of people will drink CBD as a soother. Like me, I have a bourbon or two and kind of takes the edge off. And you and I like to have a beer every now and then because we like beer.
Yes, we do.
And
I had 2 Michelob Ultras last night.
What's going on here? You were out of control. You had 2 Mich Ultras?
I did.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
The second one came by accident. They asked if I wanted a second one, and I didn't respond, but she took that as a yes. So,
Our crowd
is sleeping on the couch.
Yeah, they're not cheering us on at all.
Just like our listeners at home.
Right. At least it's consistent.
Listen to it as they go to bed at night. It's to fall asleep
I'll
too.
just let that fat guy drone on for a little bit longer. I'll be out of here. So anyway, so with Matt was in town. He was meeting with some distributors there in Nashville. Came by to train, and he and Joe. Joe's a big fan of his drink and everything, and Joe comes by and hangs out.
Yeah.
A little bit of backstory to even that is during the pandemic. You coached Joe, and everybody's gym was closing. And you had asked if he could rent some plates, and I just said send him to I've got that in abundance, so just send him over and he can get what he needs. And I've handled Joe when he's lifted locally, at meets, handled Joe at Masters World Cup, and so we've become good friends. That's really the backstory. And he'll come and hang out, and literally every time he comes, anybody that he hasn't told the story to talks about it. The Arnold when I got on his ass pretty hard that day.
Yeah.
Well, that felt heavy, and I can be unpredictable with my temperament every now and then, and I snapped on him. So
it worked.
It's a pretty good story.
It is a good story. Speaking of Joe, he actually called me while I was driving up here. I don't know if I can say whatever I want, but he might
Sure.
be mad about it. He's considering trying Equipped.
Wow.
Yeah, he
Now,
wanted.
he and I have had several conversations, but
I mean, he hasn't officially said he's going to, but he basically said he's considering it. So I'm excited about that if he were to try
well,
it.
yeah. I
think.
mean, I would if he is even remotely adept, he would be tough to deal with.
Yeah, he would.
Which we had another moment like that in the gym, and this will be a great Joe story for you. Joe was an elderly guy.
Yep. He's what, 71?
Yeah, but he's in this incredible shape.
Yeah.
You know, he stays busy, he stays active. He's just recently retired, so he comes in the gym, and well, I don't know how many of these I have left in me, and I won't quote myself. I'll put it that way.
All right.
But I let him have it.
Yeah.
Why do you say that every time you come here?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of expletives in there.
Right.
How do you know? How do you know when you're going to check out? I might go before you. How do you stop doing that?
Yeah.
If you love doing this, then just do it.
Yep.
And Joe's talented. I mean, that
Yeah.
dude is legit.
And he
This
works
isn't-
hard.
Yeah, this isn't just like, well, for an old guy, he's pretty good.
Right.
You should see
Straight
young
up.
people. So when I handled him, he was lifting in a meet in Franklin, Tennessee. And it was the last time he pulled 500 pounds. And, you were coaching him, and he was with our group that day. We had a huge group. What was interesting was he was warming up at 4:05 in the back, and all these young guys are looking like there's no way.
Yeah.
And he, Joe's damn strong.
There were a lot of hurt feelings that
Well,
day.
they couldn't. Everybody's fist bumping him, and there were, you saw a lot of the, where they're drawing back, like, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
And with this particular different federation, they're using a deadlift bar, which totally plays, to Joe's leverages and the way he pulls.
Yep.
And so he pulled like in the 515 area. It was
dude's
pretty
strong.
impressive. Oh, he's crazy strong. All you got to do is shake hands with him.
Yeah.
That guy's done some manual labor in his day.
And
so
he's a
legit.
198, 220 lifter. He's not a super heavyweight either.
No.
He's not a super big guy.
No.
Yeah.
But delightful person.
Oh, yeah.
I always enjoy. I've anytime you want to, he wants to come train. It's kind of a drive for him, but and he has some challenges. He's taking care of some business for family and stuff like that. So, whenever he can be there, we're glad to have him. But
Yeah.
but he does always enjoy telling that story that
It's a
you
good
have
one.
Told. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
So there you go.
There you go. Well, what hobbies do you have outside of drinking bourbon and powerlifting?
Well, that's a tough one because so the drinking of bourbon, just to expand on that a little bit, I would call myself, I don't collect stuff that's really expensive. Now I have some. I would be lying to you if I, and you've tried a couple of expensive ones there at the house.
You are more into the really good quality at a great price point, is what I've heard you say.
I really enjoy finding those things because not everybody is willing to go, I mean,
It's like garage sailing. People that
Sure.
like to do that, you find that,
you're looking for that,
which I don't do that either, but
No, I don't. But nobody has any used clothing or anything that's going to fit me, so I just don't go. But it's, you want to find that diamond in the rough where you're like, hey, all my bourbon friends, that'll spend $1,000 on a bottle of whiskey. You need to try this. So I really enjoy that. And so like if you come to my house, I'm happy to give you a pour that you're never going to see in the store.
Yeah.
That's the joy of what I have, is sharing that. But to go, hey, for $50, taste this, and you're like, what? That's something that I really enjoy. So that's when people go, does all he do is drink bourbon? Actually, a lot of times I'm buying, and I taste it, and then I put it away for tastings.
Yeah.
So interestingly enough, and then I'll talk about hobbies. We do tastings. There's a group of us where I live, the Wilson County Whiskey Society, and I've done some blogs, and we're starting to discuss, doing a podcast just for the reason that you brought up is just to give enough education to people that want to try it, because right now it's very in vogue. Bourbon is a very in vogue drink right now.
Yeah, I'm really trying to be cool.
Yeah, and being cool is important to us guys.
But you can give me a pour of that $1,000 bottle or a pour of like that $20 bottle, and full disclosure, I don't know the difference.
Well,
one of them might give me a little less heartburn. I don't know.
Right. But the thing is it arms you with some knowledge that you don't have to go. You're not flying by the seat of your pants. If you do enjoy a drink of bourbon, then it's finding something that you like that you're not going to spend a bunch of money on. It's not. You don't have 50 bottles of whiskey at your house. You're probably going to have one or two. And so, that's kind of the direction that we're headed with that. So, anyway, we'll dial this back a little bit. We have dogs. And Melissa's the one that's really, she takes them to, three of them are involved in search and rescue. Abby, my oldest dog, is a retired cadaver dog. Abby is 17 years, 3 months now. And so her big ordeal of the day is, even at 5 o'clock in the morning, we start at 5 o'clock in the morning at the first crew at the gym in the morning. So I get up, I answer email, she's eating, and then I make a cup of coffee, and she can't go down the steps anymore. She's just too fragile for that. And we walk around the front yard down to where she can get to the gym. She'll walk around for about 10 minutes, and then we have a place where she has a bed, and she lays in that and usually sleeps while everybody trains. But she's spent, I got her when she was 2 days old. So I bottle fed her, all those things. And, she still wants to be in the gym. So we do stuff with the dogs, and that's really, I wish I had time for music still, because I have that in my past. But I have guitars in my office that I will pull down every now and then and just kind of plink on just for, memory's sake. But, and then listen to music. I mean, there's times where when I'm done working, you're not there yet, but there's a point to where, especially with all the screens that I have, when we're programming, it gets to the point where I'm looking at them and I just can't even see them anymore.
Yeah.
And it's time to take a break.
Yep.
And I'll play pretty obscure, because we've done this before, with a
one-hit wonders or something.
Well, stuff like that, because I have a very eclectic taste in music, whatever, something that'll grab me.
Whirly Girl, I believe, is one of the songs that you said.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And, but it could be, there's bands, from that era that were in a different genre. I'll give you an example. Level 42 is a British band, and their big hit was Something About You. If you heard it, you would immediately know it. But they were a jazz kind of pop band that played instrumental music prior to becoming, this pop top 40 band.
Yeah.
And that's where my exposure to them came from. So being a musician, you're always looking for stuff like that to listen to. I like in the hard rock, maybe even heavy metal world, there's a band out of Texas called King's X. Doug Pinnick is someone that I know online. I used to coach one of his guitar techs. So it's interesting at how small a world, as big as the globe is, the strength world and the music world are kind of one and the same, where a lot of those people, they all know each other or have worked together or whatever the case may be. So, I've worked on a lot of people's guitars, and I know people in that industry. And, just so happened, one of the guys that I coached was his guitar tech, and I've always been a fan of theirs from early on. So there are bands like that I really like, that not everybody is not necessarily mainstream.
Yeah.
And that's really, by the time you run a gym, you do the stuff, with USA Powerlifting, because I'm the Tennessee State Chair. Some people may not know that.
Yeah, I did a pretty shitty job introducing you, but I think most people probably know.
It's fine. It's one of those things where, I'm glad to be in the position that I am, because one of the conversations we had early on is I wanted to be impactful, but I also knew that, that was going to take a lot of time, and I was probably going to be a pain in people's ass like yourself.
Hey, all the good ones are.
Well, I mean, I would rather do that, I would rather us. Here's the thing that I appreciate so far, is I've had conversations. I wouldn't even say that they were arguments. I've had conversations, and we don't necessarily agree with everything that we want to see happen. But the commonality is ultimately we want to see whatever is going to be best for the organization.
Right. Is
what we want to see. And I'm good at pushing people to do that, And so, I think this well enough where I'm going to make you guys tell me no.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with that.
Well, no, and
I don't have a problem
nobody
telling
has, and know that, I'm probably going to have to tell him this again.
Yeah.
He's going to find a loophole. He's going to come around the backside. But when when it's not done.
But you're not doing it just to be a pain in the ass.
No.
There's merit to it.
Right. And then when we have conversations and I'm told why, then I go, okay, well, I need to answer these questions, and have a better plan, or I need to put my energy somewhere else.
Yeah.
And so I think when we work like that, I think it's better in doing that. I think it's made us better as a team, as coaches too, because
I think so.
Well, because we have to make decisions like right now.
Yeah.
What do you think? Well, I think this. No, this. Well, okay. Not only can we make those decisions faster, we communicate in a manner that we wouldn't be able to otherwise.
Right.
So I think that's been a plus. So all that to circle back is, by the time I run the gym, by the time I program, and I slowly get better and better and more adept at the app. Like just learning how to fill out the update page has been probably astronomical for you.
The simplest process.
But it's one of those things where you go, oh, holy crap. He had to be losing his mind,
Yeah.
Because, it's not always what you know. It's usually what you don't know, And trying to embrace that and learning, you have a crew of people that are very different than mine. And so the challenges of learning that, and then seeing how you've programmed for them, and how, you and I obviously are very different.
Very different, yep.
But we both want the same result,
right.
There's you're looking up at the score, there's this video. I don't remember which lifter it was for. It was at the Arnold, and you can see both of us Englishing, the lifter, because I have no poker face at all. The only person I've ever been able to poker face with is Jennifer Milliken, and I think because she and I, personality-wise, were so much alike, that made it easy. Where I'm not a stoic coach, where it's like I'm not like one of those coaches that when the team intercepts my quarterback and he doesn't flinch, or if we intercept and we run it back, he's stuck. I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
I'm very much an emotional, So it was interesting because you could see both of us Englishing, So where we're different, I think, has been, an advantage, and the challenge for me is assimilating that and trying to make a fluid transition.
Yeah,
that's not always easy.
I think the advantage too is, if we did program exactly the same, we have the same 2 or 3 ways to fix this one problem. Well, what if those 2 or 3 things don't work?
Right.
now we're like, we got to go look elsewhere. Well,
Right.
because we have different approaches, I think it works well that we can, instead of 2 to 3, we have, 6 to 8 options. I
Well,
mean,
and,
those are
and
just
again,
made-up
with the
numbers.
technology now, it's one of those things where you can go back and look at history, and
Yeah.
which is not something that I've had in the past.
Yeah.
And something to tell lifters if they're listening to this. It's like Laura and I. I was such a departure, and it's taken a while to mesh.
Yeah.
And learn how we need to communicate. But I think they're going to see tomorrow.
Yeah.
Why, taking that time, why, being patient on both sides.
Right.
And why, because in this case, I think it really reiterates that the coach and athlete relationship is such a dramatically collaborative relationship.
Yeah.
And I think that's been, as we have learned each other, it's become, she and I are like, she'll send me a video, and I think she knows that I am genuinely excited. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I mean, that's a true story.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's, of course, Laura and I, let's see if you agree with this. She and I share some personality facets
Yeah.
that I think are very much the same.
Yeah. I agree.
And so where the fieriness sometimes can be a pain in the ass,
It can.
and I can speak to that because I'm that guy too.
Very much
But
can.
when she's that enthusiastic too,
Yeah.
she's someone that's going to play to the echo of the whistle.
Yeah.
Well, you don't get all of that. You don't get a person like that without their. You're going to get an abrasion or two. Okay, that's just a fact.
That's a good way to put it.
Well, I mean, but why wouldn't you want that?
Right.
And I'm not just saying that because she's in the room.
Yeah.
I'm saying, and she's chuckling because she knows all too well. See, it's one thing. It's one thing to be a pain in the ass and then you're oblivious to it.
Right.
When because you want something. The thing I appreciate about that and respect it because by God, I want this that bad,
Yeah.
and I'm always going to respect that. And so, but it takes time, to develop that relationship. She didn't know. She may have heard of me, maybe.
Yeah.
But she didn't know anything about me. And so now, I think there's a lot more trust, and the dividends of what she's doing. I'm pretty excited to see. I'm excited to see it.
I'm excited too. Yeah.
I think there's a bunch of there's some lifters out there in her age bracket that I think are going to be. They should know that she's coming.
Yeah. I think they know. If anybody pays any attention, I think they know.
Yeah, well, I'm just if they're not,
Well, they'll find out.
it's going to be a thunderbolt.
Yeah. Cool. That's all I got.
So am I killing it?
You're killing it, man. Killing it.
Here's the thing that here's what I'm really concerned about is once the lifting is done tomorrow, I wonder if Laura's going to want to drink a beer with us or not.
Will she want to drink a beer? No.
Well, what about 2? And then maybe that's a better beach ball to serve.
Maybe on the, she's holding up all of her fingers over there.
All the fingers? Well, that's something else I do. I do it to you as well from time to time, is if I mix something cocktail-wise, I'll send it to her so she'll ask me what it is. I think the last 2 I sent her was I had made a triple, then there's a story behind that, but I don't have to share it. I made a triple whiskey sour without an egg white, and there's a reason why I'm doing that. And it was in a beer mug. And she was very inquisitive as to what that was. Then the one before is I have a couple of beer mugs that even with a little bit of foam holds 36 ounces of beer. So that's bigger than the Steins that we were drinking from wherever we were at, where we were eating at a German restaurant. Was that the Arnold?
The crowd says yes. It was the Arnold.
Okay.
They start to run together, the places
I
and
don't have
locations
any
and dates.
But yeah, so it was bigger than the mugs that that we were drinking beer from that restaurant, if you can imagine.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
There's 3 beers.
Yeah, nice. So
I'm pretty well practiced.
I think Laura and I need to start drinking with the coefficient.
That's great.
I'm still working on the appropriate coefficient, but it's
Right.
it's somewhere in the neighborhood of square root. So
Yeah.
whatever.
Well, that's fair. That's totally fair. I get it.
Whatever she drinks, square root
yeah.
of itself.
It takes a me to hang with her.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a true story.
it's really disappointing.
Well, Milliken was the same.
Yeah,
We would do after parties, after a meet or something like that. And invariably, 11 o'clock, people are trickling off. Usually midnight, everybody's gone. Melissa's gone to bed. And Jen and I we're standing in the kitchen. All right, one more. So she's dangerous.
yeah,
Which, by the way, she's left powerlifting, obviously. She is due, I want to say she told me August 18th.
I saw something like that.
Isn't that crazy?
That's pretty crazy.
That we're in Belarus, we're in Calgary, we're all over the place, and she's breaking world records, and now now she's going to have another child.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
So, what else you got?
that's it.
Feeling good about it?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm a very unentertaining individual on these things. It really takes somebody else to draw it out.
Here's the thing. But I have video proof of other things that we were discussing off the air during our prep time for this session.
What are you talking about? Oh,
But you're singing,
it is enthusiastic.
and that counts. The thing. Here's what I'll tell you about when you learn about music is, it's like a garage band. You can rehearse, and you can become great musicians, but until you play in front of that bar crowd of people, that's where you learn to become an entertainer. And Josh, you, sir, are an entertainer.
Well, I appreciate that.
I mean, you're giving it, regardless of what you're working with, you're giving it everything you have.
Yeah.
And I have that video proof.
Awesome. Well, on that note, though, I guess we're gonna do a long ways back we used to do like the tournaments of the your whatever.
Right.
We're gonna do top 5 karaoke songs coming up here pretty soon.
Wow.
So, but the stipulations are you have to have either sang the song in karaoke, would be willing to sing the song in karaoke, or you've sang it in the shower.
Oh, wow.
So it can't just be like, what are the best karaoke songs that somebody could sing?
Well,
it
that's
has to
fair.
be what you would do. And then we'll have the tournament.
Interesting. I mean, I've never sang karaoke. But, well, hear me out. Because basically all of my music life, I was performing in bands. You know, so we were singing in bars or clubs or outdoor gigs or, whatever place we were playing. So I've never sang karaoke.
That's interesting. How did you get by with that when we were up at the training camp last year when we had karaoke?
I just don't do it anymore.
Yeah, but how did we let you not do it, I guess? Did I even encourage you to do it? Or did I just like go gung ho into doing it myself? And I'm like,
I had poured you a bourbon. You're literally holding. There was this point where you like just handed it off, and you were really being energetic and interjecting some emotion into that particular song, and otherwise you were carrying the Glencairn that I poured a bourbon for you.
Yeah, that's right.
It was
Well, that kind of doing the math that kind of adds up now.
Well, and Wes Toller was there. He had his guitar. So. And Amy was singing, so So that explains my oversight into not peer pressuring everybody into doing it more. Yeah, it's really
I'm just
fine.
like, I got this.
Yeah, you had it covered. You were pushing the train, my friend.
Yeah. All aboard.
It was a good time. It was a very good time.
Well, cool. All right, man. Well, I think we're gonna wrap it up here.
Okay.
We got a coach in the morning or all day tomorrow, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be a long day, but it's gonna be an interesting day, and it's gonna be a long enough day that I think everybody's traveling Monday.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking forward to it, being able to spend a little bit of time with the team. I had to miss out on the training weekend this year, which I really hated.
Yeah.
And have a couple of beer colas, and
Sounds like a plan.
it's going to be a good time.
All right, man. I appreciate it.
All right, man.
Later. All right, that was our interview with Wade Johnson from back in July. It was good catching up with Wade. That is a good reminder, too. We are smack dab in the middle of the tournament for the best list of karaoke songs. You can vote for your favorite top 5 karaoke song list on Instagram at PL Ballads Podcast. And if you are in Salt Lake City, don't forget the National Governing Body meeting, the NGB, is on Monday, September 9th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Salt Palace Convention Center in meeting room 355. We hope to see you there. Until next week, we'll catch you all later.
Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode of the Powerlifting and Power Ballads podcast, please remember to subscribe and share it with your friends.